Welcome to Author Talkback at CommonWord. I'm Arlyn Friesen. We're pleased to have author, farmer, cross-cultural bridge builder, Marcus Peter Rempel here with us today. His, shall I predict, revolutionary book, Life at the End of Us versus Them, and its discussion guide, is just hot off the press, came yesterday.
Yes.
Welcome here.
Thank you, Arlyn.
It's great to have you. A common tendency that you write about, and we see it often played out in society and in church and in families, is to self-identify as a homogeneous us, or some kind of a homogeneous unit, an us against some other them. How are you proposing we find life outside that dualism?
So, I heard once that in Australia, cattle farmers don't build fences, they just dig wells. And that's an image for me that I think speaks to the kind of imagination I want to cultivate in terms of, I have no interest, certainly when it comes to the church, and increasingly in terms of like even my sense of my community beyond the church. I have no interest in getting into patrolling where the fence lines are, who's in the fold, who's not in the fold. But in math they talk about fuzzy sets, centered sets, and bounded sets. And I think in the gospel we're not dealing with a fuzzy set, because there is clearly a center, but we're also not dealing with a bounded set that can be identified in that kind of fence-building way. But I think there is a center that we can orient towards the Christ, and I do think that really is a way forward out of the dualism of us versus them.
Well, say a little bit more about that, because you've said before that Jesus got us into this mess, and it's Jesus who can get us out of it. What do you mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, so first I probably should say, what do I mean by the mess?
Yes.
So we live in this odd time where those ways of holding community as an us versus them are breaking down all over the place. And there's good news in that, but there's also, it is a real difficulty in terms of where does identity come from? How do we understand how and where to talk about the good, name the good? And so we are in a real quandary. I've been helped by two Christian thinkers to connect this quandary with the adventure that begins when we take Jesus seriously, when he gives an answer to our question, who is my neighbor? He tells this story about this someone who is from an enemy tribe, considers other scriptures as sacred than than the community inside of which the story is being told. And that one, not only does he tell the story in terms of, this is someone you should look out for, he tells the story in terms of, this is who's going to save you.
Yeah, and you're referring to the Good Samaritan.
The story of the Good Samaritan. And it's a beautiful story, but you start taking it seriously, and all kinds of containers just start breaking apart. Mm-hmm. And we know the pain of some of our containers breaking apart in the church. We could list a few very concrete examples right now if we wanted to. But having had that connection drawn so clearly back to Jesus, if I'm a Jesus disciple, I have to trust that if this is the adventure that he kickstarted for us, then I have to trust that he knew what he was doing, and that we're going to be okay.
You mentioned you are relying heavily on two authors, Ivan Illich and René Girard. What is some of the things that they have said that need restating today?
I think what's especially helpful for me, and I hope for others with both of those, is that, so in contrast, there's lots of Christian progressives right now that are writing really great stuff that is a fresh reading of the Bible that can land in the culture as it is today. What both Illich and Girard do is they give us a fresh reading of our culture, seen in the light of the gospel, and so to have the kind of that flashlight, that light coming out of the gospel onto our situation, onto our culture. I've just found that very transformative and very helpful in orienting in a very disorienting time.
I'll just conclude with one quick question. All books are personal journeys for their author. Where has this writing at this time in our culture taken you?
Well, one quick answer is it's found me new friends. There are people that I read and respected tremendously as kind of sources of words that I enjoyed, that now have become people that I can talk to on the phone or email, and so that's just been personally just very gratifying and exciting. Maybe I'll just put in a quick plug here. I think my next project after this is a podcast that I'm putting together with a musician friend, Ilana Lewandowski. And I'm going into that project with this list of people that I now can talk to who will talk to me. And I sort of feel like I've had my say now, and I just, to be able to enter into that conversation and really listen to other folks.
Hear everyone's responses.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, thanks for giving the plug and sharing a little bit today with us.
Thanks so much
for having us.
Your plug.
We're glad to have you here. You can pick up your copies of the book and the discussion guide at commonword.ca. Thanks so much for watching.
Thanks.